good morning, everyone in the US, and good evening to all my friends in Vietnam. I noticed that we have the Bung here, who is in Germany. Welcome. Good afternoon to you. And once again, thank you very much for joining me today to another Lit in English. This is the Zoom call of the meeting that we work together to make it possible so that we can share this great knowledge in English. And our goal, our mission is to spread this amazing knowledge to every corner of the world. And thank you, Dong Lei. All right, so let's get right into it because today I have to do something right after today Zoom call, and I really want to go over today important topic. So just a quick recap from what we did yesterday. Yesterday we went over the seven holistic wealths, and we demonstrated how important it is to understand these seven holistic wealth, because this once we get closer to the holistic wealth, we will be able to get closer to the holistic life. And the seven holistic wealth is what help us keep the four pillars of life together. That is the four category of inner self, health, relationship, and finance. And once we can define these seven holistic wealth, we will be able to work with what we have, and then we can expand from there. And eventually we will achieve that holistic life, right? And if you missed yesterday's presentation, um, visit our YouTube channel. We will have that uploaded soon. And yesterday we was also mentioning the importance of material life, immaterial things, and immaterial life, material things. And what do we mean by that? What we mean by that is we can add more value to what we have, and it would be easier for us to share what we have, what we own, whether it is a materialistic thing or it is a immaterial thing. It's just easier to know what it is and to share it with other. For example, um, yesterday I mentioned the very famous quote saying that in order to make $1 million, you have to be a millionaire first. And what that meant is that the author who is a millionaire, he had made it, and he trying to share what needed to be done in order to make that $1 million, in order to become a millionaire, right? And when I first heard of that, I thought it was strange because by definition, don't you have to have $1 million in order to be a millionaire? But that's not what he was talking about. What the author was talking about was that you have to have the habit, the right habit. You have to have the right character. You have to take the right action, and you have to have the right thought, the right mindset. And he was able to define those things, and he was able to share with his reader the importance of each of those things. And it is absolutely amazing. Anyway, those are the seven holistic life, and throughout the lit and the English, we will go in great detail. So right now, it is more of like an introduction, but let me assure you, all of this information, they are very, very, very amazing, and it can literally help you materialize anything that you desire. All right. Okay. Let's move on to today's topic. And I am super excited about today's topic. It is the topic of activating the human brain. This is the topic that um, I like a lot, and we did really, really well last season. Unfortunately, we forgot to hit the recording. So lucky you that you are here today with me, and feel free to interact during the presentation. And I hope that you will get something valuable out of this presentation. All right, let's get started. If you have pen and paper, I would highly recommend to just draw along the way, because doing that you will have a greater understanding of this, and you will be able to share with others, right? Okay, let's get started. And actually, before we get started, let me make sure that my camera app is on so that we can so that you can see my paper better. There, brighter. Okay, let's write at the very top here. Activating the human brain. All right, so this is something that I have learned in my psychology class, and these are one of the most interesting topics, and this help us truly understand how our brain works and how we have evolved over time. And this is the scientific perspective. Okay, so the baseline is that throughout history, during our revolution, we our brain has evolved over time, and our brain is what help make us I guess better than others other animals, and that is how we are able to dominate the earth itself. But however, the way that the brain develop, there are different part of the brain that help us becoming who we are today. And it is very important for us to define it, to know exactly what it is in order to use its best. Because there is a very famous quote saying that we are only use about 10% the capacity of our brain, but that is not 100% true. What the scientists said was that at that time the brain is so complex that we were only understanding about 10% of our brain. But at the same time, in this presentation, I will show you that if you don't make the conscious choice, this might very much be true that we barely use our brain at all. So I would like you to help me write down the word reptilian brain right beneath this. So yeah, reptilian, REPT, reptilian brain. So reptilian brain is like a lizard brain. Is the brain that is responsible for things like fear, right? So if you look at the lizard, it seems like it is nervous all the time, right? When it see you. And often they just run away, run off when you get closer. And that's the part of the brain that tend to functioning with fear, so that it can that can help. That's how the reptilian function. That's how it survive, and that is the reptilian brain. And then the second one is the mammalian brain. So M A and then 2M 1A mammalian brain. And this is the one that have love. So let's use pink color to represent for love. Yeah, you can say that my favorite theme. What is a theme? Is that like a topic? I can see you too. How do you?
Yes, I don't know how to say this because in English, so I say Thema because in German because it's Thema. I think it's called terms.
That's fine. All right. Thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoying the presentation so far. All right, right underneath the mammalian brain, let's just go ahead and write the word the human brain. Human brain. What the human brain is good at compared to many other animals is that we are able to think. We are able to play out scenario in our head, and often we can predict the future, how things might turn out, and this is what make us different from other. So usually I can just write the word vision here, but the word that I really want to use is the word foresight, because we are able to actually see and predict the future.
Can I just add something then?
Yes, go ahead.
It's I like this term because by the reptilian brain, in English they have three typical F. The first one is the reaction, how a lizard or a salamander react. Like the first F is fighting. The second F is fly. But, oh, something dangerous comes, so I'm fly. I'm run away from this. And the third F is freeze. Like
Right.
Like also some children, they have afraid of something, so they will be afraid and yes, and try to be to be that the same as the like the around of them. So they try to be like a stone or something like this. So this is exactly what we human beings do also when we have afraid of something.
Yep, that
And
is exactly right, and that's the reason that we introduced the three brain. That way, we can have the deep understanding of why we have a certain fear or how we react to things, like you mentioned earlier. You know, when danger occurs, usually people people react in three ways, like you mentioned. Either it's called fight or flight. So either you choose to fight or you choose to run away. And some people fear is just too much that they couldn't move a muscle, and they just freeze up and they just stand there. And there's a bird, I think, an Oscar. When it's afraid, it just bury its head under the sand, and it was just standing there. And then some animal, they like the goat, for example, when they get scared, they actually just jump upside down, lay on their back, and they play dead. they wasn't dead, but that's just how they react to it. And that's the amazing thing about the activation of the human brain and how we separate the three brain to the three parts so that we can have a clear category that, you know what, whenever we think of fear, it is our reptilian brain is working. And when we feel love, you know, like the love from the mother to her children, or the love from a man to the women, then we know that it is the mammalian brain that is taking over. But the amazing thing is, what about the human brain? You know, what can we do to activate the human brain? What is the human brain doing? What is it capable of? And it is absolutely amazing once we realize what we are capable of. And you are right. And in order to have a greater understanding of the three brains, the reptilian brain, mammalian brain, and the human brain, I would like to invite you to take out another piece of paper and draw alongside with me. Okay, so let me grab a piece of paper here. There. So in this piece of paper, I want you to draw an eclipse, kind of like this. Let's start with a smaller one here. And then from there, we draw a larger eclipse. And the outer is the biggest one. So this is how the brain kind of look like if you put it on the table, right? I'm just kidding. This is the representation of, let's write on it, the reptilian. So for the reptilian, this is yeah, just gonna write a smaller word. Reptilian. Right, and then the second one, right on top, let's try mammalian. And the furthest one to the right, let's write the word human on top. So this is the representation of the three brain. And here's the interesting thing, like Yvonne said earlier, the reptilian brain is very good at reacting to fear. Okay, when the reptilian brain sense danger, it's either choose to fight, which means fight against that danger, or it choose to run away, flight, and or sometimes it just froze. And the reptilian brain has the function of fear. It is operating by fear. And years ago, I think it's back in 2006, so this was actually quite a while ago, almost 19 years ago, I think. Yeah. A friend said something that very, very interested to me back then. He asked me, Ben, like, what do you think? What is the meaning of life? like to you, like what do you think the meaning of life is? And I thought for a while, I gave him, love maybe because I can feel love from my parent. Um, I have love for my friends, my loved one, for people around me. So maybe love. And he said something very interesting. He said that the meaning of life or the purpose of life is very simple. It is all about survival and replication. All right. And that answer makes so much sense when we get to this. Because if you really think about it, the reptilian brain, it is very, very good with survival. So let's write the word survival here. And for the mammalian brain, it is very good with replication. And what do I mean by replication? It is like giving birth, having like reproduce. But let's go back to the reptilian brain first. So the reptilian brain, it is very, very good at surviving. And that is the reason that it is sticking to fear. So fear is not necessarily to be a bad thing, right? Because fear is what keeping us alive. And I don't know about you, but for me, like I am afraid of height. I cannot like stand from the tall building and looking down. That's freaked me out. And my brother, he's like almost 6 foot tall, big guy, and he's afraid of spider. Like imagine seeing the big guy, and the second that he see the smallest spider, he just freaked out. And most people they don't like snake because snake can be poisonous. And throughout history, maybe we see a lot of people die from a snake's bite. And I think all of those information is engraved in our brain, and it is part of the survival mechanism. And fear is what keeping us alive. Fear is what the reptilian brain is function on. Okay. And this will help us greatly in understanding how the human brain works. So I want you to help me draw a line and then make it into an arrow. And then write the word information. Okay. So when information come to us, right, it will go through the reptilian brain first because it is prioritized to see if this information is danger. Is it indicate danger? Right? Because it is important to survive before you can do anything else, right? If you die, then that's it. You won't be able to do anything else. Therefore, the reptilian is prioritize survival. Oh, Don said survival and question mark replication. That's the word that I like to use. But you can just write survival and I guess I give birth. I think I like the word replication, and I wrote it on the right hand side here. But yeah, when information come to us, we tend to think, is it dangerous, right? Is it life threatening? And that is just the mechanism that we have. And to me, it makes a lot of sense, because we have to be able to survive, to do anything. And in the periods of thousands, if not millions, if not billions of years, those survival skills engraved deep in our mind. And when information come to us, it is important for us to realize that the brain has to figure out if it is dangerous or if it is safe. And that's when the mechanism kick in for the reptilian brain, the fear mechanism. And so if the information is dangerous, then it will stop there. Okay. If it is dangerous, then it will just stop there. It's not going to go anywhere, because we realize that it is dangerous, and we're gonna, like Yvonne said earlier, we're gonna choose to either fight or fly. Some people just freeze up. But if we can just understand that the information is not danger. For example, instead of approaching like a threat, the reptilian find food, for example, so it can eat, so it can survive. So that information is good. Or what if it can find the opposite sex, and it is happy. So when the positive information go through the reptilian brain, and if that information is good for survival, then it will move to the second brain, which is the mammalian brain. And this is the brain that is responsible for love. And with love, it is the information, when it travel to here, it will analyze the information to see if this information help them bring up like positive energy for them, or is it not. And there was a story that I heard like years ago, and it was on the news too. So there was a fire in an apartment complex, and the mother, who was having like an injured leg, but all of a sudden she had the strength to run over to her children's room to alert them and get them out of the building before the fire get to their apartment complex. And people will praise her of her courage, and people said that it was the love of the mother that gave her the strength and the energy to do it. And similarly too, like in my life, there are many occasions that all of a sudden I feel that burst of energy to just jump in and help my family when they need it. And that is the beauty of having love, or having the positive emotion. So the reptilian brain is very simple. It is only focused on, oh, is it good for my survival, or is it not? So it's almost like 0 or 1, or it's similar to the principle of light that we went over 2 days ago. You know, if it's dangerous, and that's it. But if it is not, then the information travel to the mammalian brain. And from the mammalian brain, this is when things get interesting. Okay. The mammalian brain develop what is called emotion. And when information go to the mammalian brain, it will analyze and it will see if this information will give it like positive emotion or not, right? And if the information coming in that is not positive, that is not satisfy the love or the importance of replication, then it will stop here. And oftentimes it would even going back to the reptilian brain where fear reside. And these are the two very basic, very important mechanism of life. And if you were to look at a lizard, or in the US, I have a lot of squirrel here. They look nervous all the time. Whenever you see them, they just like stop moving. And the second you get closer, they would run away. And a lot of times they don't even care. They just start running because they just want to survive, right? And when over here in the US, there we see like a lot of bears too. And sometimes people report like bear attack just because the mother bear had to take care of her younger bear, and it is an act of love. And if you look further to, let's say, fish, for example, fish they focus more on survival, and they would just lay like millions of eggs, and that's it. They move on. They only worry about their survival. But when it's come to the mammal, like human, for example, we started to see something very interesting where we have less baby, and we tend to take care of the baby more, and we are focusing more on the replication part of it because we was able to somewhat master the survival. And it is very important for us to know that there is a connection between these three parts of the brain, right? And that's why when we look at the reptilian, they still do their replication part. They're just not very good at it. And for the mammalian brain, for the mammal, it's still very much rely on the survival mechanism, which is fear. And that is almost the same way that we operate as well. When information come to us as human, we would analyze it, that information, to see is it dangerous, right? And if we allow it, if we allow fear to take over the way we think, then we was just stuck right there. And that is what that's what we present on the first day on the 6 barriers. This is exactly what fear would look like, right? Because when you start having an idea, if you don't focus on it, if you don't have the strong desire to materialize it, then you will stuck with fear. You will stuck with the reptilian brain. And it's kind of sad, but the truth is most of us, we tend to live more in the reptilian zone, right? We still try to survive. Most of us, we still struggle with trying to like put food on the table. For example, we often live in fear, and we gave up to the sixth barrier, and that's stopping us from becoming great. And sometime when we use the mammalian part of our brain, we still unable to think positively. We wasn't able to utilize the principle of light, where we can just simply light up our dark room to focus on the positive side, the good side of it. And this is what our presentation, our sharing is all about. We are all about providing you all of the information needed to live that holistic life, to get closer to that seven holistic wealth. And understand this is very critical, because you know what? If we can activate the human brain, right? If we can master, if we can be in control of how we think, when information come to us, we will not give up to fear, because it is proven that we are living in a great society where we having each other, and we no longer have to worry too much about survival. So when information come to us, it is important for us to get the best out of it, to allow it to go to the mammalian brain. And we have to be able to learn to recognize the goodness in it, to realize that, it can be very positive. We focus on lighting up the light in our inner self, and allowing that information to move from the mammalian brain to the human brain. And when we are able to do that, something very amazing happen. When we are able to do that, the human brain is very good at this, and I would like to call it vision. And this is something that we also mentioned in the first day of the sixth barrier. If you remember, the sixth barrier is the most important one, where we know that having lack of vision is what's stopping people from accomplish what they are capable of. Like the story of Mr. Roger Bannister, he was able to run 1 mile under 4 minutes because he had a very clear vision of the goal. He had a very clear vision of getting to the finishing line under 4 minutes, and he was able to do it. And not only he break through his own limit, he proved to the world that it was possible, and he was able to break the entire world limit. He was able to prove a very clear vision to the world that, hey, you know what? It was possible. It is possible. And that is, that is the activation of the human brain. And in order to activating the human brain, let me share with you in another piece of paper here. So there's a step to it. And that is, let's write the word lesson. Deep understanding. And enlightenment. Right. So these are the three steps to activate the human brain. And you know what? Each day when we learn something new, right, and we start asking the right question, then that will help us understand the lessons better. And this is the amazing thing about how the human brain works, because the second that you start asking the question, you will come up with the answer, and it's almost like a spiral, right? When we go in deep into it, then we will have a greater understanding of it, and we will become enlightened through that answer. So it is kind of like how the three brain work here. When information come to us, we can we can analyze that. Is there a lesson here, right? Is it good for my survival or is it not? And when the information come, we can analyze and see if it is help bring in positive emotion or is it not. Then we will be able to break through the very last barrier of simply survival and replication, and it will help us get to the human brain. And this is the great things about the reptilian brain, mammalian brain, and the human brain. And let me take a sip of water very quickly. All right. So for the lesson, it is very important that we recognize it as a new lesson. And we have to be able to find application for it. And gotta have the answer. That's right. This is the second out of the three principle, and it is called activation. Human Right. So there's a very strong connection between the second principle and the first principle, the principle of light, right? Because from this, we recognize the importance of shining to focus on light, to be able to focus on the positive thing. Because if we don't know how to light up our inner self, to lit up our dark room, we will easily get trapped with fear, where we're easily giving up to the sixth barrier, the limiting belief. And as we mentioned many times, and I have to mention it again because it is very important, because just like the chicken egg, if the impact from the outside in, then that will mean that we are about to use it as fruit. But if the impact coming from the inside out, and that will give us life. And when we consciously breaking through our barrier, when we consciously make it through fear and not giving into fear, we open a new door to something greater, something more meaningful. And that is the positive energy, the possibility of love. And when we have the ability to lit up inside, to go in even further, to have a great understanding of what is possible, we realize that we can work on our inner self, we can be healthier. It is not just about us, it's not just about survival and replication. It is also about the relationship that we have. And we will be able to define what is most important in order for us to keep together the four important category. And doing that, it will help us activating the human brain to give us the vision. And from vision, just like Mr. Roger Bannister, he was able to have a clear image. He was able to do what it was thought to be impossible. And that was only the beginning. And all of this is not just about the principle itself, it is also about you. It is about the realization that you are more than just your fear. You are more than just love. Life can be a lot more than just survival and replication. But we also have to make the conscious decision to break through our comfort zone, to break through the six barriers, so that we can give ourselves life. Because you know what? It is very, very important to make that change. It is very important to change using love, because generally people tend to change after they experience suffering. And if they still don't change, the worst kind of suffering will come for them. And if they still do not change, then losses will get them to change. And it doesn't make any sense to wait for pain and suffering and losses to motivate us to change. We can make the conscious decision to make that transformation, right? We can break through the limitation of the reptilian brain. We don't have to live in fear. And at the same time, we don't have to suffer with negative emotion, because that will set us back to our survival mode. We can learn to be positive. We can learn to look at the brighter side of things. because just like the principle of light, it is a binary system. When happiness occurs, then loneliness will go away. When positive thing happen, then negative thing cannot exist. And when we are able to do that, something amazing will happen. We will start to have the vision. We will be able to have the foresight. And that is when we truly be a human, right? The activation of the human brain. And that is when we can unlock something very, very interesting. That is when we will start come up with new lesson. We start to recognize new lesson. And then we will have a deep understanding, an application of many, many understanding to help us enlighten, to help us have a clearer understanding of what we needed to do to have that holistic life. Because when we look at people who are very successful in life, they seem to have something missing, right? From the outside looking in, they might have everything. May have the money, they may have the fame, but there's something missing. There's something that is not complete. And understanding this, we can make the conscious decision of taking control of our life to work on all four the four important category, which is our inner self, our health, our relationship, and our finance. And we know that there are the 7 holistic wealth that we can own, that we can work on. And eventually we will have that wholesome life. And that is it for the presentation today, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Today is a little bit shorter compared to other presentation, but I gotta do something real quick today, and we will see each other again tomorrow. Thanks again and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.